Thank you, Sharis, for providing that beautiful music for us this morning in your own unique, special way, which is wonderful. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just trust and relax.
Good.
So the title of the talk today is Using the Intelligent Law to Build Faith. So how do we do that? How do we use this intelligent law, and what is it? Well, I have to say that I am just so grateful to be a student of the Science of Mind, written by Ernest Holmes. Just so much gratitude to this man so many years ago who wrote that book and gave us a formula on how we can manifest a better form of living, manifest better circumstances in our life. He says that he gives us a metaphysical and a scientific method, and he explains God as source energy, as power, as presence, being principle, not personality. He calls it the thing itself, this creative intelligence, which is in back of all creation. He tells us about our oneness with this power and this presence. And this power and this presence, he says, is in all that is. So in studying this philosophy, I've come to believe in that God as principle and not personality. I've come to see how it works in my life. And in one of the classes I'd taken, it gave us an opportunity to write our own a declaration of our own spiritual reality, which is exactly that. It's your personal account of your life and how and when God shows up in it. So this was a good exercise to do to help you establish your faith in the God within, not the God outside of you, but a God within, a God that is for you and not against you. Because if this God is within you and you're made out of the essence of God and it's within you, how could God be against itself? It could not. So when you write this spiritual declaration of your spiritual reality, you are expressing a willingness to be open, to be aware, and to develop the belief through the awareness, the knowledge, the understanding, and the experiences in your life. So how does it work? How does it work? The thing itself, how does it work? It works through a process that Ernest has given us called the creative process. And how does it benefit us? Well, like I said, it benefits us by helping us to create a better world for ourselves, starting with our own personal world within. It helps us to build faith through the understanding, the conscious use, and demonstrations. So it's the conscious use instead of by default, because it's always working. This universal law is always working. This principle is always working, whether we know it or not. It takes non-discriminatory action upon our words. So become aware of your thoughts and the words and how they play out in your life circumstances. The first thing is become aware of how you show up in the world. What is your thinking? What are you saying? What are you doing? Take a personal inventory. You may have had some spiritual experiences in your life, and through the realization, you may have seen the presence of God in your life at hand. You may have become aware of how it shows up, expresses through you, and how it responds to you in just the exact way, time that you need. As you develop the use of affirmative prayer and awareness of demonstration in your life, you deepen your faith in this presence power greater than you are through these experiences. So Ernest gives us a process called the creative process. And he gave us a symbol, and this is the symbol he gave us. This is the metaphysical symbol for God that Ernest created for us. So you notice it's divided into 3 sections, and with a V in the middle. The whole thing is God, but there's 3 aspects. The first would be spirit, the top part, or love. And Ernest says that love points the way. So love in the top part, or first cause, love, and the V is pointing the way through the law. In the Science of Mind book, I'm going to read a few things throughout my talk that Ernest wrote to help us to understand this philosophy. He says on page 43 in the Science of Mind, in an intelligent study of the teachings of the Science of Mind, we come to understand that all is love, yet all is law. Love rules through law. Love is the divine givingness. Law is the way. Love is spontaneous. Law is impersonal. We should study the nature of reality with this in mind. And in this way, we shall avoid 2 grave mistakes, either viewing life as made up of only mechanical laws, or viewing it as made up of only spontaneous actions, irrespective of law and order. There is order in the universe. As we gain a broader viewpoint, we shall see that life must contain 2 fundamental characteristics. We shall see that there is an infinite spirit operating through an infinite and immutable law. And this cosmos, and not chaos, finds an external existence in reality. Love points the way, and law makes the way possible. So you see, whatever you put into the law through your thoughts or through your words, your actions, goes into the law, and it germinates in the law. And as Ernest has given us the example of the seed, the soil, and the plant to describe that. So in the law is where the seed is germinating, and where if we were a farmer tilling the soil and putting fertilizer and all that, that's where we have to put in our feelings. This is the feeling place, the fire, where the thought can become manifest in our realities. So in the Creative Mind and Success book, Ernest has written so many different books. They're so inspiring and so informative of his philosophy. And like I said before, I just really, really love the way he transcribes his thoughts on paper. So he says in the Creative Mind and Success book on page 75, never let go of the mental image until it becomes manifested. Daily bring up a clear picture of what is wanted and impress it on the mind as an accomplished fact. So see it as already done. Claim it in your reality. He says this impressing on our own minds and thought of what we wish to realize will cause our own minds to impress the same thought on the universal mind. In this way, we shall be praying without ceasing. We do not have to continually hold the thought of something we want in order to get it, but the thought that we may inwardly become the thing we want. He says that 15 minutes twice a day is time enough to spend in order to demonstrate anything, but the rest of the time ought to be spent constructively. That is, we must stop all negative thinking and give over all wrong thought, holding fast to the realization that it is now done unto us. We must know we are dealing with the only power there is in the universe, that there is none other beside it, and that we are partaking in its nature and its laws. Always behind the word that we send forth must be calm confidence in our ability to speak into the power and the willingness of mind to execute it for us. We must gradually grow in confidence and in trust in the unseen world of spiritual activity. This is not hard if we but remember that the Spirit makes things out of itself by simply becoming the things that it makes. And since there is no other power to oppose it, it will always work. The Spirit will never fail us if we never fail to believe in its goodness and its responsiveness to us. Life will become one grand song when we realize that since God is for us, none can be against us. We shall cease merely to exist. We shall live. So it is very important, as Ernest says, to mind our minds and to choose our words very carefully as we speak, to choose words with a high vibration when we speak. I am so grateful to have this, to do this, to be this. I am delighted to be, to do, and to have. Words like that. I am a glorious creation of God, through whom God expresses. And so this is all how God in love is pointing the way. And law makes it possible. So it is written in his book, The Thing Called You. Ernest says that Spirit withholds nothing from you. To believe that God refuses the good you desire is to deny the goodness of God. It is refusal to accept, and the profound conclusion of the one who said, "It is done unto you as you believe." And that was Jesus. Often you may find that even though you start with an enthusiastic conviction, you become stranded on the rock of unbelief. Refuse to let this discourage you. Because the law still is that. It is done as you believe, unto you as you believe. No matter how subtle the thoughts are of lack, of fear, uncertainty, or loneliness may be, they do not belong to you. Your affirmations can erase them. Become master of your thinking, hence master of your faith. Just keep on knocking at the doorway of your consciousness until every no becomes a yes. Every negation an affirmation. Every fear of faith. You cannot fail if you remain steadfast. The creative law which you use is like a mirror. The thought you hold before it is like an image. The mirror reflects the image you hold before it. Hold there then the image of faith and expectancy, with enthusiastic conviction and with undying trust. So it is faith in an idea and conviction in your word that fires the soul to manifest the idea. So that's the law. That's where we put in all the fire, choosing our words with higher vibrations. And then we have the bottom part, which is the manifestation of our word, of our thinking, of our desires. And Ernest says that the universe has been called the Great Trinity, the triune unity of spirit, soul, and body. The body being the result, the bottom part, the effect, the objectification of spirit. Law is the immaterial, plastic, and receptive medium, he says. It is the primordial or cosmic stuff, unmanifested form. Body is the result of spirit working through soul or law. The entire manifestation of spirit, both visible and invisible, is the body of God. So that whole thing, the whole thing is the body of God. It is God. First cause, law, and effect. The word body, as used in the science of mind, means all objective manifestations of the invisible principle of life. The body is distinguished from the idea in that the body is seen while the idea is invisible. Body is always an effect, never a cause. The simplest way to think of the body is to realize that it is the objective manifestation of a subjective mind and consciousness. And if we are to be well and happy, not only the body, but the mind also must be peaceful and harmonious, he says. So let me give you an analogy that came to my mind to explain this. So we have Ernest's analogy of the seed, the soil, and the plant. Well, I thought about a different one, and I came up with the cake analogy. So in the top part, we're going to put all the ingredients that we need for a specific kind of cake. Say a carrot cake. We're going to put all of them specific to that type of cake. We're going to have a mental picture of this cake. We're going to add some yeast and some baking powder. So all of the ingredients are like the qualities of God, everything good. And the picture of the cake is the pattern of perfection. And the yeast give rise to the blueprint of wholeness within that cake. So then we're going to put the cake in the oven, into the law. And there, we're going to turn up the heat to the desired temperature. We're going to imagine it. We're going to see it. We're going to taste it in our minds. It begins to rise in the oven according to your vision and your belief. And it takes time. Everything happens in divine right order. So the cake itself was manifested and is manifested to the specific ingredients put in, the degrees of heat from the fire, and made to rise and manifest according to the vision and belief or specific mold in mind with just a right amount of time. So if you want to change, the recipe, change the ingredients, the mold, the time, the temperature. So in summary, Ernest says we have discovered what the principle is and how it works. And now this is what it does. The principle that we have demonstrated is perfect insofar as it automatically demonstrates. Experience has proved this to be true. It is the way the thing works. Therefore, we have the right to say that there is a law involved, and that this law executes the word. We discover laws, find out how they work, and then begin to use them. Therefore, the question is answered when we say it is the nature of thought and the creative energy and the nature of being to be this way. It's God's nature. It's God's nature to create. We would say that the law is the attribute of God. God did not make the law. It coexists with the eternal. The infinite law and the infinite intelligence are but two sides of the infinite unity. One balances the other. And they are the great personal and impersonal principles in the universe. He says that therefore, if a man is seeking to demonstrate, he must tell himself that he has faith in his power, in his ability, in the principle, and in the certainty of the demonstration for which he works. Faith, being a mental attitude, is according to the law. And even though one doubts, he can overcome his doubts and create the desired faith, definitely. However, even though faith is necessary attitude, it is something that can always be established by explaining the theory and proving the principles. So the law, so you see, the law is impersonal. It is always working whether you know it or not. It takes non-discriminatory action upon your word. So let's remember this, and therefore consciously co-create with it for a better tomorrow, and then we can eat cake.